Hello, thank you for meeting with me today. I will start with a brief introduction of myself. My name is Abigail Perkowski, and I'm a student at Goshen College, and I'm conducting this interview on the behalf of the Goshen Historical Museum. So the first question I'm going to ask you is that, do I have your permission to record this interview today?
You sure have.
Great. And then next follow-up question, can I get your full name?
Srikala Karimbil Rajagopalan.
Great, thank you. And can you tell me a little bit about when and where were you born?
I was born in 1944, November 19th, and I was born in Chennai, which was then called Madras, which is on the southeast. It's a coastal state, and that's, of course, in India. It's in the southeast.
Okay, great. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up. Like, what was it like? What was your favorite parts about growing up where you did?
I grew up in Chennai. My parents were very hardworking people. My father and mother got married very early, and my father kind of left the town he was on the southwest of India because he wanted to just explore, which is what I also did, left India and came here. But he was very hardworking. He was a very good photographer, and he had worked for a photo studio where he got a lot of training, and he became one of the leading photographers in the southern part of India.
Oh,
So
wow.
so he was very good. He even took pictures of Queen Elizabeth when she came to our town, and he took pictures of Jacqueline, what is her name? Onassis. No, what's her name? Jacqueline Onassis, Jacqueline Kennedy. Yeah, she was Onassis, then she was Kennedy. So, and he was one who was not afraid to do what he wanted to do, He just went out there and did, and I feel like I've got so much of him in me. I'm not very afraid. I used to be, but now I'm not. I feel like, what is there to be afraid of? So
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So about your childhood, or were there any favorite memories you have of growing up?
I feel like childhood just went by, you know, but I was part of 7 siblings,
Oh,
which
wow.
I think was a great thing because I didn't have to go anywhere else for to be socializing. And just from when you have 3 younger sisters and 3 older brothers, they teach you everything by not wanting to teach you, but just by their actions and their words.
Yeah.
So in a way, I didn't have to go any special place to get to learn about socializing. And but my father was always into many organizations, and he encouraged us to take part in it. And we had in India there are a lot of festivals and a
Mm.
lot of organizations too. So he was very active in those organizations, and we became like the participants, ready to dance, ready to tell a story, all that stuff. And my brothers were very, very musical too, and one was in the Air Force, one was in the Army. So when they came home, it was always a lot of fun. But as such, what was the other part of the question? I think,
What were some of your favorite memories about growing up, your
my,
childhood?
yeah, my memories were at home, what we did, or my friends who were neighbors, and how every evening we would take a walk together, and we kind of told all our little secrets to each other. So, so it wasn't anything extraordinary. And at school, of course, it's very disciplinarian type because it was run by Irish nuns,
Mm.
and they were Hindus, and it's a Catholic school. Um, we still had the option that we didn't have to go for catechism classes and all that stuff. We could go for moral studies. So I think growing up those days, morals were very important, and really, and parents were, at least for girls, they always had different rules for boys and girls. For girls, at such and such a time, they have to be at home, they have to do their prayers, they have to do their studies and things like that. So I just felt growing up that way was how almost everyone grew up. Don't feel like something special. Of course, I cared a lot for my brothers and sisters. And I lost 2 brothers recently. And being in the
sorry to hear
US is
that.
one of the hard things. Yeah, I was not able to be there.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of answered the next question I had, that you had any, did you have any siblings? You said you
Mhm.
were, did you say you were the youngest of 7? Or did you
No,
have 7
I
others?
was the middle one. I always say that I was like in a sandwich. I was in between,
Oh,
sandwich between all. So
oh,
I had my 3 older brothers and 3 younger sisters. So we girls are all still there. It's just out of the boys, I've lost 2.
okay. And so talking about family while we're on the subject, do you mind sharing a little bit about how you met your husband?
Oh, okay. His sister and family lived close to us, and so when he was doing his a study tour from college, he was doing his engineering. When he came, I was kind of the most talkative, I think, in the house at that time. And I think even now, if you ask people, they'll tell me that I am. But then, so when he came, I just told his sister, "Why don't you bring him along? Let us meet him." So he came along, and then he kind of was on his best behavior, very well dressed, very impressive, So, so all those things kind of caught my eye, and then I invited him to come to visit me in my college, which was right on the lake shore, And so anyway, so he came, and he came, but I didn't expect him to come. Then he came all dressed up for the occasion. And those were all college students. They never dressed up like that. But then we went out to eat. But I was so nervous because I've never gone alone with a guy to eat anywhere.
Oh,
So I invited all my good friends, took the whole bunch of them and went. And then after that, he told his friend that he was interested in marrying me. And his friend told my friend, and we told each other. And then made the parents feel like, at least I made my parents feel like they kind of, uh, I mean, they were very good about it, because in India, it's always, most of the time, it's arranged marriages. So there's a lot of guys who come and they know there's a girl, she's, studying while she's doing this, she's doing that. They come and, their parents come with a proposal for the girl and things like that. So that was happening too. But I kept saying, no, I think I like this person to whom I'm married now. And
oh,
so that's how, so we made it look like it was arranged, and it was partly arranged, partly we just found each other.
oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
Can you see a picture behind me, Abigail?
Yeah, I can.
That's my grandson, and
Oh,
he's
wow.
in college, and my husband used to take photographs and do Photoshop.
Mhm.
So he took the picture and did a Photoshop, but now he's got a lot of health issues, so it's a little difficult to do those things. So
Yeah.
that's a very special picture.
Well, it's beautiful. Okay, so the next question I have is, why did you move to the US? And I'm also going to ask
Mhm.
when you moved.
So in India, because of the population, for anybody to go ahead, get ahead takes a lot. First of all, you have to be extremely smart. Secondly, you have to have a lot of pull. So with all that stuff, and he was working for the engineer services, which is with construction and all that stuff. And so he and I both felt like maybe we should go somewhere else. I mean, we were okay, just okay, nothing much to talk about. But so we thought some friends had come. One friend in particular came from UK at that time, and he was a friend of my sister's friend's husband. And he said about how in UK, you don't even have to carry money in your pocket. All these plastic cards help you. In India at that time, there was no such plastic cards. So we were so enamored looking at those debit and credit cards, little knowing where it all leads to finally. So
Oh,
we thought, oh gosh, you don't have to take money, you just take these cards. didn't even realize what it was.
Oh,
So we just started thinking that maybe we will move. And then there were only 2 countries that we could have moved, if possible. Everything is luck, stroke of luck too. And one was the US, the other was Canada. And so in the US, at that time, which was in 1972, we came to this country. Actually, my husband came 71, me and the kids came in 72. So when we were coming, it was like, what shall I say? At that time, there was a shortage of doctors, there was a shortage of engineers and things like that, which now, since then, has never had that shortage. In fact, except for doctors, I think it's quite different. So because there was that, and also you have to have somebody to sponsor you. So saying that if something goes wrong or you misbehave or something, that person is responsible for you. And he was a good friend of my family. So he had not even met my husband. But because of, that's how relationships are in India, you know. If you know, okay, you are related to this family and that family and all this stuff, people just take that risk. And he just took the chance and helped him to, sponsored him so he could come. So, but after coming, it's a big struggle. It's a huge struggle because you, first of all, don't get, you very rarely you get something in your field. So most people come and do their master's or PhD or something, then it's a huge footing to get in. But without that, mine was a degree in psychology, which I thought would be very easy to get into. But I was able to get into all these voluntary organizations where they need somebody to be with an autistic kid, things like that. I was able to do. But I never thought too much about it. I just enjoyed doing it. And then I worked as customer service person in several places. And my accent was kind of difficult for them to understand. And but I always think nobody tried hard enough. You know, I sometimes tell them, "Do I understand your accent? I don't, but I try hard." So
aw,
I expect you to try hard too. You know,
right,
uh,
yeah,
because that's the thing. They most of them were not used, had not gone anywhere. You know,
yeah.
and they've lived in the same state, the same town. So they develop the same accent, the same attitudes, the same thoughts. And unless what we were lucky is there were many missionaries in Goshen. And
Mhm.
so they had been missionaries in India. So they knew India pretty good. They knew the Indian culture very good. They were very delighted to see us and they were extremely good friends and still are. So I think for us, that was a bonus, especially coming to Goshen. We first came to Chicago and then a good friend of ours who was working, an Indian friend in Goshen. So there was a job opening at his place. So that then we moved here, but then we found it was a nice place for kids to grow up. I never felt like I was alone because I can make friends with no problem. So I never felt alone, you know.
For
And then
sure, yeah.
the kids were safe. That was the main thing. And especially when I had never worked anywhere other than, you know, housekeeping and homekeeping or whichever keeping you call it. But other than that, I had not worked outside. So it was a challenge for me, but I always knew I could do it, you know. I think if you try to work hard, if you can be friendly with people, and if you can be honest and truthful, I think half the battle is won.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So the next question I have
Mhm.
is the professional training you got in India useful to you here when you moved to Goshen? And what was
I,
the, oh, go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and then a little sub question to that question was, what was the process you had to go through to be able to work here?
So I think it was just all my willpower, you know, because I felt like we've come so far away, 10,000 miles away. I felt we needed both of us to work because otherwise it would be very difficult to carry on. And um, I could always talk and I could always be friendly. I the first job I went was they said they wanted a person who works at the fountain. I had no idea what that was, but it was a job. So I thought, okay, I'll go for the interview. When he interviewed me, he was shocked because he didn't expect me to talk in English. And he was like, then I asked him, what is his job? It's actually like a hostess, or
Oh,
like what do you call it? People who work at servers,
mhm.
and usually those days, all these pharmacies, they had a small little round table like the movie Friends, and then they would all work there, and the people would just sit around and have a real happy time talking. And so I was going to serve, and I've never served anyone in my life. I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I came back home and I didn't go for that job. But later, he saw me working at some other place and he wondered how I got the job. He was so shocked. But and that was a huge thing because that was the pharmacy, and the person who owned the pharmacy came from Indianapolis, and he owned almost all these pharmacies in the state. And so I was all dolled up in my Indian garbs, and he was very shocked. But after that, he learned to know me, and we were good friends.
That's good. That's good. So was it pretty easy then to work here from your switch from
No,
India
it
you found
wasn't.
out?
It
Oh
wasn't.
no.
No. First of all, I had no work training at all, but I
Oh,
was a good worker. I was a good listener. So
yeah.
I learned well. I learned fast. I had a lot of friends who came as regular customers, and they always wanted to say something to me, something nice, which was very nice. And so I and my um, undergraduate degree in psychology really didn't give me any professional help of getting
Mm.
to really work on it. It was just me, I think, that I could talk, I could be friendly, I could help people, and I worked hard too.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so you mentioned a couple jobs that you had here once you moved to the US. Um, did you have any jobs while you were in India, or were your first jobs kind of here?
Yeah, right here in India. I never
Okay.
worked. I had people who helped at home to work for us, but
Okay.
so it was different. It was also a learning process to learn to cook also.
Oh,
So it was, I would say, if by the standards of today, I was raised above and beyond what you can think of. But my father always believed in being straightforward, being honest, being a good worker, and also being kind hearted.
oh,
And
yeah.
I feel those are my big points.
Oh, that's good. So what would you say your favorite job has been while you're here, while you've been here?
Um, I worked mostly in customer service all the time. Um, I think more than my job, it's the organizations that I belong to, which was my very important part of my life. But my last job was for 29 years, and it was for trash service, waste away group. So when I used to go to India and I tell them, when they say, oh, so where are you working? I would just cut down the whole thing and just say, because they don't know the name, they don't know anything. Oh, I work for trash service. You went 10,000 miles away to work for trash service. Then I would say, yeah, it's a job. Anything is a job. That's all it is. And then
Yeah.
I would very proudly tell them what I do and all this stuff. And they would listen because they can't believe that that's what I'm doing. But my boss was a great boss. And he was, after 29 years, when I was retiring, I said, he said, nobody has worked for us for 29 years. So I want to do something good. And I don't know what to do. I said, those days in India, especially, the award, when somebody worked very well, the company would give them a plaque or a gold watch or something like that. So I just said, I don't want a plaque. I don't want a gold watch. I hope the mayor's not listening to this because
Oh,
this plaque is certainly more important than that plaque. So um, So I just told him, just give me a ticket to India and back. And he did exactly that.
Aw.
And unfortunately, he died just 2 months back. And I mean, he was a very good man. He liked to listen to my stories. He liked to learn things from me. And then he would correct me. And then I would tell him, why don't you look up the dictionary and see the spelling? If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Then he would say, why not? You're in America. So why don't you do things the American way? I said, well, I'll try, but I don't know.
Aw. So you talked about your other plaques, so I'm going to jump to that question real quick. So I know you have a lot of involvement with the Goshen Community Relations Commission. Can you tell me a
Mhm.
little bit about what you do there, what it's like?
Yeah, what happened was when the KKK came to town, I think it was towards the end of 1980 or so. And it was terrifying because that was the time we had a huge influx of Hispanics all of a sudden. And they heard that they're always looking for people to terrorize. They're always people looking for people to subjugate and things like that. So they came on a big tour and a rally with their masks on. So I've heard that they wear their masks so they can see you and you never see them. And most of them, they're working just some low job somewhere, but they have kept an eye on you. So I was kind of a little scared about it. But at that time, we had Mayor Mike Puro, and he decided, along with many organizations, to have a day of like a diversity day. I call it my most unofficial diversity day because we had people from all different countries making foods from their country, and it went very well. And then I made my mango milkshake and my samosas, and everything went very well. And after that, everybody got excited about it and started thinking that we should do things like this more often, which gives even the people who come from other countries who are really coming for jobs, and they're very good people, and make everyone feel more satisfied being here. So then we went on, it was Human Relations Commission in Mike Puro, and then it was Mayor Alan Kaufman. I would say he really pushed the diversity day. He was I was chair for God knows how many years because nobody wanted to be a chair. And then, and then we would have foods, we would have entertainments from different countries, we would have children play games from different countries. And Alan especially, he would, if I ask him for anything for Diversity Day, he would make it happen. And
Aw.
it was fun. And then we realized that if you're not part of the city government, then you cannot get much help in many ways. We thought we would get 100,000 to get a director and all that, but all that was just stories. It never happened. So the mayor, Jeremy Stutzman, decided to, I think it was Alan who got it as part of the city government. And from then on, we had a consultant and things went more officially. And when it goes officially, it has its good things too, because you can get many things done,
Yeah.
much easier than when you struggle with it yourself. And somehow, and the Goshen College had ethnic festival. I did that for 15 years. So I
Oh,
was
wow.
always somehow into the foods. And then the American Association of University Women, we had chicken sales, and that I was there for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So I did a lot of that. And finally, I felt like I was getting too many health problems. So I decided to kind of get away from Diversity Day, and they tried to put it on under the name of the city, but somehow it had more problems and it didn't happen. So, but I still have people who call me and say, oh, I want to eat some Ukrainian food. Can you give me some name that I can contact? Nobody's doing it, but at home they're cooking every day.
Oh,
So I learned a lot. And with that, got very good friends who always supported me. First was the Mayor Alan Kaufman. He was fully supportive of us. And then I had Maureen Coyne. And you wouldn't have heard of all these people because you're so young, But she was my big, what shall I say? Uh, in any way that I needed help, she was there. And so was Beth Berry. And then there were many others when we had to do some ordinances, or the people tried to build a detention center here. So when all those things happened, I kind of went along with it.
Yeah. So then I'll take this time to give you some congratulations on receiving the plaque and the key to the city for your time there. That's
Okay.
fantastic to learn and find out about.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
And
Going back
now
to, oh,
I'm also very spiritually oriented. I
yeah.
believe in Hinduism. I mean, I believe like all religions are one, and God comes at different times, different places for different types of help. And right now, the one I believe is called Mother. She's called Amma in the Indian language, which is Mother. And we see her in flesh and blood all the time. She does a lot of things on the TV, a lot of shows about spirituality. And I think that has helped me a lot. That has become my main core, which gives me the strength to do most things that I do. And so I don't feel afraid of things. I feel like if you can be straightforward, if you can be honest and truthful, that's all you need, and work hard for sure. That's a big thing to get these days, working hard.
Yeah.
And then I was with the American Association of University Women, who were a big bunch of women who did so much for girls and women. So that also kind of molded itself into me.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, going back to some other questions. So while you were in India, what was the at-home language there?
Every state had its own language, and so many states refused to learn the other languages.
Oh.
But the official official language was supposed to be Hindi, and the people in the south said no. Most people in the north know Hindi, so why should we learn Hindi? So all this was going on when I was in college, and so there was always strikes and rallies and kids against it and all that stuff. But as a general rule, if you go to India and you know English, you really can get along okay.
So you speak English, do you also speak Hindi? Is that the language that you used? You said it was kind of, people
Kind
had
of the
different.
official language, official, I would say mostly all legal stuff, everything is done in Hindi, but not in the South.
Okay.
In the South, it's mostly in English, mostly of the
Oh.
languages of the state. So
Oh.
I grew up speaking English at home because I went to an English school run by Irish nuns. And so, but my parents always spoke the language which is called Malayalam, which is a word that you go from the front M and you end at the end M. Either way, the spelling is the same. So this Holy Mother I was talking to you about is from the state of Kerala, where Malayalam is spoken. Whereas my husband always spoke Malayalam at home. So he is very comfortable with Malayalam. For me, I'm just the same, but comfortable in English,
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So we never, even the children grew up speaking English because that's what we spoke at home. And but most of my friends, a lot of them, they at home, they teach the children their language, which I think is a very good thing. It's extremely good to know more than one language.
Yeah.
So I can get by with Hindi, I can get by with Tamil, I can get by with Malayalam, but the most strongest language that I have is English.
All right. Nice. That's nice. You have some other little languages thrown in there too. I think that's really important.
And I think when you know those languages, your tongue twists in different ways.
Yeah.
And you get adjusted to saying words that might be very hard for a person who knows only English.
Mm-hmm.
Your tongue
Yeah.
can twist like you cannot even believe it. But
I probably wouldn't be able to do it.
but have you learned Polish now?
I have not learned Polish now, no.
Oh, okay.
From my last name, no.
Yeah, maybe when the kids come along. Yeah.
Maybe. So, so your kids hear English here in Goshen then?
Yeah,
They grew up.
they grew up in Goshen. They were both valedictorians. Then they
Oh,
went to several colleges, IU, Purdue, uh, Northwestern. So the oldest one, she has a PhD in genetic engineering, biotechnology. Sometimes I really don't know what her subjects are. But then she got married to another Indian, which is not very common to find, but sometimes it happens. And he is a doctor. He's
oh
a
wow.
ENT doctor, and they live in North Carolina, and they have 3 girls.
Oh wow.
And the younger daughter is a family practitioner, and she was divorced, and then he died. And her son is the only one she has.
Oh. So since they grew up here, did they still have a little bit of an adjustment or?
I think maybe the adjustment is only the color.
Oh,
The color always plays. I always ask questions as to why are people so, why do they discriminate with color when
yeah.
they're all on the beach trying to get a tan? We come with our in-made tan, and yet that is something that people were prejudiced about. But otherwise, they never had all those problems.
Oh. Trying to find the other questions I had about your kids. You kind of already answered them, what they did. You said they went to a lot of colleges?
Yeah, the younger one, she went to IU, and she went to a place in Colorado,
Mm.
and that's where she went. The older one, her name is Minnie, and she went to Northwestern. She went to she started with Purdue, then she went to I can't keep a list, and I have to start
Oh, that's
writing
okay.
a list.
That's okay. That's okay.
That happens as you're getting older too. It happens quite often.
Yeah. I feel like that sometimes now.
No, believe me, it's totally different.
Oh. Okay, one of the
So,
questions I had from the museum, a couple of them have been thrown in the interview and some are my own. But one of the questions from the museum was, who do you relate to the most here in Goshen? You said you can make friends really easy. You have a lot of friends. Who do you think you relate to the most?
it depends on what I need. You know? So, but this Maureen and Beth were my very good friends. I had many others. They were all really good friends. And I remember my grandsons visiting us once, and it was first Friday, and we were walking, and every block I would run into 1 or 2 people that I knew. And
Aw.
yes, me, Mama means grandma, you know. And then, Mama, how do you know all these people? Because these kids have grown up in the American way. They don't make friends like that, you know,
Oh.
easily. They stick to their own friends, you know, and their own friends are very, very important to them. But I think because I was an immigrant, I was lacking friends. I was lacking, I was missing India. So there was one time when I was working at one place, it was a bookstore run by Mennonites. And my boss, he knew how excited I got if I saw an Indian. So he came running up to tell me, you know, I think I saw an Indian walking by on the road. I
Oh.
just left everything, jumped down there, ran
Aw.
down the steps, went out to the street, and I ran up and down and I couldn't find her. So our usual way at that time was, because we were very few in number, we always, if it is in Indian, we always made friends. Everyone called each other. Every weekend we ate in each other's house, which was wonderful because everyone cooked well. And whenever I met a new person, and I'm sure the others did the same, then I would invite them for dinner, and my kids would say, why do you have to invite every weekend somebody? Why do you do that? Because they never felt the need that their mother had.
Right. Yeah.
I was so happy to see an Indian. It was like the ultimate thing that happened that day. So when I see all the Hispanics and why they are so much oriented with their families and friends, it's almost something that happens to every immigrant. And I'm sure the people who have gone here 5, 6 generations later, the first generation would have been the same, because that first generation kind of misses the home they came from, misses their family, misses their friends, and then adjusting all the time, because it's not others adjusting to you because they feel they've been here. Why should they adjust? They are from here. And somehow you're always not considered as you have become part of the we. And so you work twice as hard to be
Oh,
accepted as part of the we group. you know
yeah. So another one of the questions from the museum was, how do you maintain contact with India? Do you maintain mainly through people here, or do you have family back home still that you keep in
a
contact
lot
with?
of yeah, a lot of the family is in India.
Mhm.
And now with the phones and the cell phones, they're very cheap to make calls anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
And it doesn't even cost anything if you use WhatsApp. So everybody is WhatsApping all the time on their phones, on their TV, this thing, desktop, laptop, every top you can think of. So really, you don't miss as much as we missed in the beginning years.
Mm,
I mean, you miss because when you hear something that's happening, somebody died or somebody got married, or some important occasion, you do
mhm.
wish you were there. But this is the choice you made, so you have to live by your choice. Though when you work, it's even harder because you cannot leave your job and go. But when you
That's
retire,
true.
you think that it will all change and you can do everything. But then everybody gets older and sicker and all that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
another change that happens. So, but we never thought about all that when we came very excited.
Hopefully you're still excited that you came.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. It was a new
Yeah.
world I was exploring and all
Yeah.
that. But as you get older and then you realize all your siblings are getting older,
Yeah.
then you don't know how long you're going to see them. So it's different.
Yeah, that's
But I
understandable.
never thought I would get this key to the city. It's a huge thing. It's sitting behind me. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can't see it. Can you hold it up? Is it something you can hold up?
Yeah. Yes. So I asked the mayor, is that bronze key
Mm.
actually gold? he said, no, the city is too poor for gold.
Oh.
Let me get it.
Oh, wow.
It's a huge thing. I'll read it out to you.
Okay.
It says City of Goshen, Indiana, the key. Then it says Srikala K. Rajagopalan, and all the words are spelled right.
Oh,
In,
that's great.
in appreciation and recognition for your service to the residents of the city of Goshen as a founding member of the Community Relations Commission from 1997 to 2021, with
Oh,
great
wow.
respect, signed by Jeremy Stutzman, February 2022. So, I didn't even realize I was a founding member. I had to sit and think about it.
Oh,
Because those days everything just fell in place,
right.
nothing was thought of deeply, nothing was thought you have to do this and you have to do that. We just did it, that's all.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, let's see where we are.
And I find also that people who who are the local people who have born and raised here, for most of them it's a little hard to become friends soon to new immigrants.
Mhm.
because they're not used to it,
Yeah.
But I see that is changing quite a bit. For me, I was always excited about people.
Yeah.
And then I understand how the new immigrants feel. So I always step out of my range in order to be nice to them and talk to them. And then you find people are so grateful for it, so grateful.
That's good. That's great. Okay, so one of the questions I have is who has been or who are a couple of the most influential people that you've had in your life who've influenced you the most, and what did you learn from them?
I don't know. I feel I had a lot of them, learned a lot from everyone, starting with my amma that I talk about, the mother, the
Mhm.
whole mother, and also my parents, my siblings, and every place I live, from everybody I meet, I learn a lot.
Yeah,
I don't feel, I feel it's everything is both ways. It's not just one way.
right.
You make an effort, others make an effort. But I also had very good friends who bend backwards, who would do anything for me. And that was Maureen Coyne and Betty. Sorry, Beth Berry. Um,
Very. Okay.
and for me, I was lucky also that even the mayors were very good. And but I think it's also because I I was free to talk about whatever I wanted or needed. And
Yeah.
and all my bosses were very good. I think everybody was very curious about me because because I'm also different in many ways that they can see and I don't see. But everyone I have run into has been good. So
That's
I think,
good. That's great. That's good to hear. Okay, we're coming up on our last final questions.
oh my God, I better stand up and salute.
Oh,
No, okay.
no, that's okay. So, one thing I want to know is what did this interview mean to you and why did you want to share your story?
I think the more we hear stories from different people, the more the differences drop off, and the more you feel comfortable, the more you feel like we're all one. We might look different, we might speak different, we might have accents. And like I remember one person telling me when I was working that just because his trash was not picked up, he was mad. And he said, I think you should go back to the country you came from. And I asked
Oh,
him, sir, which country is that? I'm a citizen, but I will never be looked at as a citizen just because of my color and my accent. So
right.
then he was like taken aback. He didn't know what to say.
Oh,
He said, sir, I'm just as good a citizen as you are. And I live in
absolutely.
your background, in your backyard. Actually, I was not living in his backyard, but I just said that. And he didn't say a word after that. I think
Yeah.
if you don't talk and if you don't express your feelings, nobody understands it. And
Yeah.
so sometimes the focus goes on the accent, the focus goes on the looks, the focus does not go on what you're talking and speaking.
Right.
That is very important, for which I think Goshen College plays a very good role. you know the type of people you have, the students and the teachers, they all kind of interact quite a bit.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear. All right. So that is all of my questions. Is there anything else you would like to share? Any stories you have in mind or information that you'd just like to share?
I think the beginning of HRC was also because of the influx of the Hispanics in town. And they
Okay.
were so afraid because they have come from Mexico and all the countries over there. And because they were struggling to live and all that they wanted was a good future, which is what every immigrant wants.
Right.
So when they came here, suddenly for them, the biggest drawback was not knowing English. But,
Mm.
like you have Richard Aguirre at the college, he was so good, for all this. And he did a lot of stuff. And so all that they needed is to have people who do not exploit them, and they were exploited, you know. A lot of these businesses where there's shortage of people to work, they find them at a, you know, exploit them by giving them a lower salary, or, you know, making them do overtime and not pay for it. So we heard all those stories. We made huge files of these stories of different people. And then many of them, their companies came to know that they were talking to us and they did not like it, you know.
Mm.
So to me, they've come for the same reason like everybody's great grandfather and everyone, trying to find a better place to live in,
Yeah.
or just want to explore, just want to travel, whatever the
Yeah.
reasons are. So everybody came for the same thing. So I'm very happy when I see those immigrant groups growing, because they have a lot of people that they can communicate with, and they feel not lost, you know.
That's
Feel
great.
happy. When I go to the grocery store and all, I watch all people I watch, you know, and I see how everyone reacts, and I see everybody, when they find their own type of person, they feel very happy because they don't have to explain who they are, why they are, nothing, you know. Just
Right.
be
Yeah.
who you are, you're accepted, and that's the most important thing. So that's really
Absolutely.
what got me into Human Relations and Community Relations Commission.
Yeah.
So people ask me sometimes, when are you ever going to stop Diversity Day? You've been in it for so many years. And then I say, when I find somebody who'll fit into my shoes, I don't think anybody can fit into anybody's shoes, because
No.
all of us have our own way of doing things, you know. But I think once you begin to understand people, once you begin to want to talk to them, all that, which I think our mayors have all been very good about that. You know.
Right. Yeah.
We'll be sitting with the KKK even now. But they left town pretty fast. They knew this was not their place.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that speaks highly of the town too. You know.
Yeah. That's
So like
great.
my kids think now I should probably move closer to them somewhere, so that because we are getting old, we do need more help. We spend more time with the doctors than at stay at home. So they think we should, and it is true. We should. We would get more help. But at the same time, uh, like leaving India and leaving my home, Goshen has become my home. And I feel like in Goshen I can get anything done with no problems. But it is true, your body doesn't do the same thing. Your mind might say you can do everything, but your body says, no, slow down, you can't do that much.
Oh,
So if and when that day comes, I think it'll be kind of very sad for me, because
aw,
I truly love Goshen.
that's so good to hear.
I think people who come here and stay, they all feel almost the same way, you know.
Mhm.
So the mayor may start giving out more keys to the citizens of Goshen, because everybody might start feeling the same. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Of course. It was a pleasure to interview you. I really enjoyed it.
Well, Paul, I'm happy to talk to you, Abigail.
Great. Yeah.
And here you are, a mixture of two cultures, you know, Polish and what is the other word? All
Huh?
American.
American, as far as I know, there's probably a lot mixed in there, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I think that's what America is all about. I always say we came to the land of milk and honey, and
Oh,
where everybody is treated equally. All that is not true. It takes a lot of effort from your side also to be part of it. But
mhm.
sometimes you wonder, why am I struggling so hard to be part of something that sometimes takes a lot of time to accept. So why should I struggle so much? You know, I'll just be what I am, and that's it. Take me or leave me. You know,
Yeah, for
and I
sure.
think that's a good way to do it. Because you know, we say America is the land of milk and honey, and everybody's treated equally, and all that you hear. At least now it's not so bad. But in the beginning years when we came, yes, that's how people felt,
Yeah.
We felt we came, so we better take it.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure interviewing you. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care, Abigail. All the best to you. Okay.
Thank you.